And now, let's take a look at the narrator, or Rassilon, as many old school Doctor Who fans like myself will know him better as. Now, if you don't know this already, then spoiler alert. I would recommend you go over to another video now. Basically, Rassilon was the greatest Time Lord of all time. He died, and his corpse was laid to rest in the Death Zone on Gallifrey, and he is seen in the Five Doctors. And when Barusa tries to become immortal, basically Rassilon's soul, or whatever it is, basically incarcerates him into stone on his tomb. Now, this looks like a guy who does not want to be messed with, even beyond the grave. Rassilon was eventually resurrected. Now, I don't know all this stuff. There's probably more stuff from the expanded universe, but personally I don't count expanded universe stuff as part of the actual franchise of Doctor Who. But basically, I assume that Rassilon was resurrected during the Time War. Maybe we'll find a bit more about this in the 50th, as apparently the Time War will feature in the 50th anniversary. So hopefully that may happen. But basically, I think the general idea is he was resurrected for the Time War, and he's obviously regenerated because in the Five Doctors he didn't look like how you can see him now, like in his figure form, as in the End of Time, the last story of the David Tennant era, Rassilon, or the narrator, whatever you want to call him, the president of Gallifrey, was played by Timothy Dalton, who many film fans, like myself, will know him better as James Bond, as he played James Bond in The Living Daylights and Licence to Kill back in the late 1980s, taking over from Sir Roger Moore. And basically, he's a bit of a bastard in this story, excuse my language, because according to the 10th Doctor, the Time Lords turned sort of mad and evil during the Time War, and thus the 10th Doctor, not the 10th Doctor, well, for a time I believe the 8th Doctor, as played by Paul McGann, put an end to the war, but now with the introduction of John Hurt's Doctor, basically I think that Doctor put the end to the war. But like I've said in past videos, we will find out in the 50th anniversary. And basically, Rassilon, in the End of Time, wants to escape the Time War along with all the other Time Lords. Thus, he brings Gallifrey closer to Earth, thanks to the Master. And everything goes all pear-shaped, basically, and the 10th Doctor has to save everyone, but at a cost, because obviously the 10th Doctor gives his life, and after saving the Earth, he thinks he's got out of it, but then Wilfred Mott knocks 4 times, and yeah, I won't spoil it for you if you've not seen it already, but now we'll go on to the figure itself. So I think this figure is absolutely fantastic. I think it really captures the likeness of Timothy Dalton. We just take a closer look. It looks just like how Timothy Dalton now looks, basically, without his beard, as he now has a beard. And I think the cloak all around him is fantastic. It's very similar to the Time Lord figure, which I reviewed a while back, like over the summer of this year. And again, we've got all these patterns similar to the other Time Lord figure, but it's not exactly the same. It's all a brand new sculpt, so rest assured it's not just a simple retool. We've got the Gallifreyan symbols here, and his cloak has all these patterns on here, like his undercloak, I should say. And again, his robes, really nice. Got all this gold, all these gold patterns that probably mean something, or maybe it's just a pattern, I don't know. And I don't know if I'm right, but I think this glove featured in Torchwood, but don't quote me on it. I only heard this somewhere, but then I heard somewhere else, so it's not. It just looks similar. I don't know, but to me it looks like the exact same prop, which to me is not a problem really, but there you go. And you got the patterns around the wrist area as well, and his staff as well. Very, very nice. You can remove it. I'm not going to remove it because it's a pain in the arse to put back in his hands, and he keeps dropping it every time I put him back on the shelf, so I won't do that. The articulation is, again, normal. The head can do a 360, like so, although I don't tend to do that because there might be a bit of paint rub. And the arms can do a 360, the biceps, the elbows, and the wrists, even though one wrist is a metal hand, and the T-crotch area as well, and the knees. And I don't think the feet do articulate, but it doesn't matter. The staff looks absolutely brilliant. You've got all these symbols on here. I think it looks really cool. And you got the silver and gold patterns going all the way down the staff to the bottom. And his feet, or his shoes, are painted in a glossy colour, as opposed to the rest of the figure being a matte finish. And I'll just give you another look at the back of the robe. We've got loads of creases, so it's just like the Time Lord figure there from the back. And that's basically all I have to say about this figure. So overall, Rassilon, or the Narrator, or whatever you want to call him, is an absolutely great figure, and I think it's one of the best figures of the end of time wave. It's a real shame that we didn't get more figures in that wave, after we only got 4 figures. The other figures being the Master, the 10th Doctor injured, and the 11th Doctor regeneration figure. I would have liked to see a Ood Elder figure. I think that would have been really cool. And I would have liked to see Wilf as well, seeing as he was the main companion of the story. So overall, YouTubers, I hope you enjoyed this action figure review of the Narrator, President of Gallifrey, Rassilon, whatever you want to call him. Tune in next time, as I shall be reviewing the 10th Doctor, Injured.